I'm Pony IP with the Red Team Village, and today I have the pleasure of talking with one of our gold sponsors, BC Security. We have Hubble and Coin here to tell us a little bit about their company and their plans for Hacker Summer Camp this year. To start off, can you tell me a bit about BC Security?
Yeah, so we're a specialized security company that focuses on security compliance. We do both training, red teaming, and pen testing for companies. We're in kind of an interesting space. We do both enterprise networks. We do like non-traditional systems. So think IoT, ICS, SCADA, bus systems, and wireless, which kind of allows us to get into a space where not a lot of other companies operate.
Great. And can you tell me a little bit more about what you do specifically?
Yeah, so I'm Coin. I'm the COO, but I'm also the director of security research. Uh, my background's electrical engineering, so I focus a lot on the wireless and IoT devices. So I go out, look at different products, find vulnerabilities in them, do software development, and then I also do the training development as well.
Yeah, and then I'm Hubble. I'm our CEO as well as our red team operations lead. So I focus on planning our engagements when we do pen tests and red team engagements, as well as some of our threat intel research to allow for that kind of threat emulation that we focus on, where we are trying to emulate specific APTs or APT categories for people, instead of just kind of doing like a generic like pen test or red team where we use like the same playbook every time.
Definitely speaking music to my ears. One thing I've noticed in the offensive security realm is that sometimes engagements have become just a commodity where it's the same playbook over and over again. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's something that can be worked on in our industry right now. Like there is absolutely a place for it. Like I don't want to take away from those companies doing that because there is a place for it. But we engage with a lot of medium where they just don't have the resources and teams to be able to address like a top level APT threat. And so we try to go and get them the best bang for their buck and emulate either threats they're specifically worried about from incidences they've had in the past, or using our threat intel research model APTs that are likely to target them in like a widespread campaign rather than a specific targeted like high-end APT or nation state type of threat.
That's great. What I was hearing was just a lot of tailored engagements for your customers to make sure they get the most value out of that.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely.
that's great to hear. Um, can't thank you enough for your sponsorship. You really enable the village to complete our mission of trying to educate others in this field, to bring as many folks that are interested in offensive security as possible. But I'd like to ask, what's the best part of that sponsorship for
Um,
you?
for us, like it's really getting to be engaged with stuff that uh, focuses on that red team aspect of adversary emulation and all that stuff to get that kind of concept out there into the industry more. It's really grown in the last few years of people focusing on like red teaming versus pen testing, as well as we just like giving back to the community. Coin and I both got our start at DEF CON villages. I remember sitting in Packet Hacking Village when I didn't know how to run Wireshark and learning that kind of stuff. And so getting to give back to the community and help those people that are just getting started out in their careers is something that we find really cool. And it's just fun to engage with you guys too.
DEF CON, Black Hat, B-Sides, LV, Diana Initiative, so much going on in 1 week there. What other plans do you have while you're going to be there in Vegas this summer?
So we're teaching a class at Black Hat. We also got an Arsenal talk that we're doing there. Then over at DEF CON, we're doing 2 demo labs. We're doing Bad Rats, initial access made easy. It's one of the tools that one of our employees developed. And then we'll also be talking about Empire, obviously. Got a demo lab for that, Empire 4.0 and beyond, going over what we did over the last year on software development, as well as a demo of 5.0 and what we're bringing to the table into the future. We also have a workshop that we'll be teaching free, which is great for everybody. If you're able to score a ticket, it's Evading Detection, a beginner's guide to obfuscation. It is a evasion and obfuscation workshop. If you're able to score a seat, great. We'll be able to see you guys there. Otherwise, typically a couple people drop out, so you can kind of wait in line and try to score a seat there as well.
And I can't thank you enough for all the work that you've done on Empire. That's a fantastic tool that I think that you've made even better since you forked it and started maintaining it. And speaking of projects like that, especially a lot of effort goes into these passion projects. What would you say is the importance of open source in our community?
Open source is just a really me for a variety of reasons. It gives people opportunity to showcase their skills to break into the industry. That's actually kind of how Coin and I got started, and kind of propelled BC Security forward. We were working our very first workshop we ever taught it at DEF CON happened to be the same year that Spectre Ops stopped supporting Empire. I created a fork specifically for the workshop that we were doing because there were some unique things that we were doing with it. And so after the end of support was announced, quite a few people in the community reached out to us and asked if we'd keep supporting it because they thought the tool was awesome. And it also just lowers the barrier of entry for people trying to not only get into the community, but barrier of entry for security teams that may not be able to afford those super high end tools like Cobalt Strike and that kind of stuff. Because not every company has hundreds of thousands of dollars for their security budget. So providing the tools for people to be able to continue their career and their jobs and help secure smaller businesses with a lower budget is something that we find important.
Absolutely, and I can only imagine how many hours your team has put into just keeping it maintained. That's something that everybody benefits from, and so big thank you on that. And speaking of barriers of entry to our industry, one mission that we have with the Red Team Village is to provide a lot of hands-on education. That's kind of our goal for this year at DEF CON. We run a few events throughout the year, including a pretty big CTF that we have at DEF CON. With that, right, what we're trying to do is just kind of open our arms and invite everyone over to the offensive side. We ended up here and we stayed because we love it. And so what would be some of your top recommendations to anybody wanting to start a career in cybersecurity, or if they're on the defensive side, and they're looking to switch in the offensive side, what would you say would be good advice for them?
So one of the things that I always tell new people when I do some mentorship or that get asked questions at conferences and stuff, an action for them to go to, but kind of something to keep in mind is that um, our car- our career field or like domain of knowledge is so large that it's impossible for one person to know everything. You can't be an expert in Bluetooth protocols and in Windows processes and Active Directory and just on and on. So just because you don't know everything doesn't mean that you're not making progress or that you're not able to contribute to a project or something. I don't think there's ever been a training class that I've taught where I haven't had a question where I'm like, I've never thought about that before. That's a really good question. Let me go look it up. And I've been doing this for quite a while. You'll never be all knowledgeable in everything. So just try to avoid overwhelmed and feeling like just because you've been studying for a year and someone still asked you a question, you're like, I never even heard of that topic before. Don't feel like it means that you haven't started making progress in the industry.
And just to build off of that is just don't be afraid to ask questions. I know that's a big thing that everybody gets scared of is going out there and being like, oh, I don't know this topic, and that's okay. Typically, when you ask the question, there's a dozen other people that also have the same question that just haven't been out there and just haven't asked it yet. So put yourself out there, ask questions, and learn a lot from everybody else because that's the fun part is learning.
Yeah, and then uh, to continue building off of that, community engagement is really important too. Both things like there's all kinds of Discord channels and Slack channels and those kinds of things where you can start engaging with the community. It's a really good place to begin meeting people for networking. You'll find tons of people that are already in the industry that can give you some guidance on how to progress. As well as just you'd be surprised who you run into on random Discord servers and Slack channels. You'll meet really big names and those people are more than happy to answer, even basic questions like how do I write my first PowerShell script. The community is generally really friendly to people when you're seeking how to learn and new things and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, especially if you want to get involved. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're an expert or a beginner. Just being there, being present, and trying to get involved, trying to help out. Right? There's probably a thousand projects out there that could use some help. And so, if you've got some dev chops or you want to grow, getting involved with that is, I think, a huge benefit for the primary maintainers as well as the new folks. And so. You can almost get access to anybody in this space by joining the right discords and taking a look at some of those organizations. Gentlemen, I just want to thank you both for being here today, not only for the sponsorship that is critical to help us achieve our goals of providing content and providing training resources for the folks that are interested in this industry, but then also just everything else that you touch has been a benefit to the community as a whole. So thanks again for that. This is Pony IP from the Red Team Village. We have DC30 here, a gold sponsor for the Village this year. We hope to see everyone out at DEF CON. We'll have our Village in one space. We'll have a CTF in the forums. And I think DEF CON 30 is going to be a huge one. And so hope to see you out there. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Have a good one.